very well in the following clip from Journeyman.tv documentary Born Polluted. Women, the other marginalized group today, fare no better. The root cause of the problem is our patriarchal society. Sons are seen as the source of honor and pride and as future caregivers of the family. They are also viewed as absolutely essential in a number of important Hindu religious ceremonies and functions. They are therefore given priority on everything. Daughters, on the other hand, are seen as someone else's property, since when married, they go and live with and take care of someone else's family. The following clip from 2 short videos, also by my friend Subina Shrestha, highlights some of the issues faced by rural girls and women. This one is about the difficulties pregnant women face in rural Nepal and the difficulties women and girls face by women in the country is less than 20%. To be sure, women are underrepresented in pretty much every social, economic, and political sphere. Moving on to the next marginalized group, the Tharus in the plains continue to suffer as a consequence of past injustices. The Tharus' poverty in the face of discrimination and violation of their rights is so extreme that they are currently indentured laborers in their own land, referred to as kamaya, some forced to sell their daughters into bondage called kamalaris. Here's a clip from yet another documentary by my friend Subina about their plight and the practice of kamalari.
We did not want to send Srijana, but the landlady came and said that I should send my daughter to Kathmandu. She said my daughter would become clever if she stayed in the city.
Srijana's death became a tipping point for the class conflicts, but there have been many others who have suffered at the hands of their landlords and owners. In the last 5 years, 4 other Kandharis have died under mysterious circumstances. 27 are missing from the homes they worked in, and 11 girls became pregnant. The government declared the Kandhari system illegal more than 10 years ago. Yet landlords still use their land as leverage to secure Kandharis. War-time families often feel they have fewer
lower castes and other marginalized groups over pretty much the entire modern history of the country have continuously widened the economic rift. Shackled by poverty, increasing number of marginalized people by hope in the form of passage to foreign countries they know very little about. According to the 2011 census report, almost 2 million Nepalese live abroad. Half of them were from the age group 15 to 24. About 500,000 left the country through legal channels last fiscal year alone. Apparently about 2,000 leave every day legally. For every 4 that leave legally, 1 leaves illegally via India. A vast number of those are women under 30 going to the Gulf region because there is a policy against it. Heavily laden with debts, these semi and unskilled poor Nepalese migrants fall into yet another trap of discrimination, exploitation, and thus suffer from violation of their rights in the destination countries as well. Qatar is one of the most popular destinations. I myself was a migrant for over 15 years, traveling and working around the world as an international science teacher. In August 2011, my own movements took me to Qatar. I read about, heard, and saw with my own eyes how the Nepalese and other Asian workers were mistreated. In spite of my qualifications and experience, I wasn't spared the treatment either. I suffered from discrimination and even incarceration in Qatar. Based on the words of his 12-year-old son, a Qatari father lodged felony charges against me for allegedly insulting Islam, and I was jailed. During my time in jail, I met other Nepalese who had also been incarcerated on trumped-up charges. The most heart-wrenching story was that of the young man from the southwestern plains who everyone called Chotu. Chotu and the rest of the crew used to get together at the end of the workday to hose themselves down with an air hose. The procedure removed dust and anything else clinging to their clothes and bodies. One afternoon, one of them was taken a little ill after the process. Chotu and a few others rushed him to the hospital. Sadly, the man died 2 days later. Matters took a turn for worse for Chotu and his friends. They were all charged with the murder of the man and sent to jail. Unable to speak Arabic and without representation of any kind, he did not know much of the details of his case, including how the man died and why he had been charged with murder. While all the workers jailed on trumped-up charges, like Chotu had no help from anyone. On the 8th day of my own incarceration, friends of mine had Doha News, Washington Post, publish my story. When friends around the world, including those from Grinnell College and the United World College in Italy, picked up the stories, they rallied behind me and initiated a worldwide campaign to free me. Within 4 days of initiating it, the campaign had gotten so big that I was released. I returned home on May 13 after spending 11 nights and 12 days to the hour in jail. Since returning to Nepal, I've been working at times as an assistant and translator to my journalist friend Pete Patterson in an effort to do my bit, providing a voice for the voiceless. The following video detailing the suffering of a fellow Nepalese was shot on a trip to Janakpur Pete and I made last November. On average, 3 dead bodies of migrants arrive at Kathmandu International Airport every single day. The death of the breadwinner plunges the surviving family into even more of a precarious situation. The dreams of their children, the innocent victims, are shattered. To me, it's clear, beyond any doubt, that education freed me twice. Firstly, from the shackles of birth in a low socioeconomic background in Nepal, and secondly, from a potential 7-year jail sentence in Qatar. Unfortunately, though, we still have major issues with our educational system. Considerable progress in literacy has been made since education was first made available to the masses in the early 1950s. As you can see, at the time, only 5.3% of the people were found to be literate. Most of them were of upper caste. Notice, while male literacy was 9.5%, female literacy was an abysmal 0.7%. Fast forward to 2011 census report, and we discovered 75% of males above 5 years of age to be literate, while the literacy level of females to be at about 57%, still considerably less than that of the males. As you can see, the situation is the same everywhere in the country. The census report does not provide any data on the literacy of different castes. The available data, which goes back to 1996, shows the level of literacy of Dalits to be less than half that of the Brahmins, the highest caste. To encourage more students to join schools, the Nepali government has put in place policies and programs such as free lunch programs, incentive for sending daughters to school, free education, or special quotas for Dalits and girls and other marginalized groups. But the marginalized people, for a number of reasons, aren't benefiting sufficiently from these programs. The following clip from the Al Jazeera documentary, School for $1, shows how and why that is so in the southern plains, where most of the disadvantaged people, Dalits and Tarus, live.
Every village
System, the Tamils are also some of the poorest in the country. The district of Sindhapatu also has a dubious distinction of being the district where girl-child trafficking started. As you may have guessed, they still suffer from that because of poverty and lack of education. The following video provides a glimpse of Raikani School in Tangkapur, where we work. Though it was made last June to woo potential donors to my fundraising drive, it gives you an idea of the school. Just as I have been able, instead of being decided for them by others, as has been the case and is the case with thousands of marginalized Nepalese. That brings me to the end of this presentation. Should you want more information, here's where you can find them, and we should have some printed copies of this information as well. Thank you.